Okay, so we are moving on to the back of the form now. Again, there are two other pages that are printed out for you that are the back drafting of the bodice. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The measurements on that page, just so you guys know, this is all, again, a handout that you have for printing, but they do separate the front and the back. So you'll see the front of the form, and then you'll see the back of the form. Some of them are the same number, so they're just kind of defined the same, but some of them are not. So just make sure that you're really paying attention to the name, and then you can look for the number next to it to help you. So we're looking for full length, number 6, and again, this is for now the back of it. So I'm going to look for number 6. I see it here. And again, it just tells me waist to shoulder at neck, parallel with center lines. So waist at shoulder. So waist to shoulder at neck. Sorry, grab this side. So shoulder at neck to the waist. And again, they want you to keep it parallel to the center lines. And so I have my nice little shoulder tip there already, the little pinhead mark. So I'm going to make sure I'm right on there. And then I'm going to make sure that I'm going perfectly parallel to the center front line, which again is this seam. And then I'm going to go to the middle of the tape. So I'm looking at 17 spot on, which is great. Easy measurement there. Now I'm going to do the across the shoulder. And again, this is in the back, so this one might be a little bit different. So this is still number 14, and it is just pictured differently here. So you can kind of see that it's a little bit of a different drawing, but again, it's labeled as the shoulder tip. So again, shoulder tip to the center back of the neck. Okay, so shoulder tip to center back of the neck. And again, there's another little pinhead here. So this one is a little bit different than the front. So this measurement, again, is going to be vastly different from your front measurement. So you just want to make sure that you're measuring the correct side and that you're reading through the definitions, because that will help you a ton. So I'm going to go shoulder tip here, and then I'm going to go across, and I'm looking at 7 3/8. So 7 3/8. Okay, now I'm doing the center back length. So if I go to center back length, number 5, it tells me that it is defined as measuring from the neck mark to the waist. Okay, and so number 5 on the back, and I'm making sure, yeah, it's still number 5 on the back. It doesn't really say that it doesn't say anything different, but you can see that they measure the back of the form. So we're just trying to get the center back length, meaning that we're going to go from the neck, from that pinhead on the neck, down, right on that center back line, that seam, right to the waist, and I'm at 16.5, spot on, which is great. Okay, now they want me to do the back arc, and remember with the arcs, it's kind of those like curvatures over, you can kind of think of them that way. So mine is number 18, so my back arc, I'm gonna look on my horizontal measurements. Number 18 is identified as the center back, so center back to the bottom of the arm plate. So this one's pretty easy. So they want you to go center back to the bottom of the arm plate. It doesn't tell you to drop or anything. It just wants you to go to where the arm plate would end. Okay, and again, that one is the back arc. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the bottom of the arm plate, the location, not physically, actually underneath the arm plate, but in that area. So again, center back to the bottom of the arm plate. So right underneath, and then keeping it perpendicular to that center line. I'm looking at 8 1/4. Okay, 8 1/4. Okay, now they want my back neck measurement, number 12. So I'm going to go to my horizontals. I'm going to look for my measurement for the definition. The back neck is the center back neck to shoulder at the neck. So this one's a little bit confusing because it kind of sounds a little strange, but they want you to go from the center back. They want you to go to the shoulder at the neck. So it's essentially just this little curvature here. That one we didn't really take on the front, but it's important that you take it here on the back because this is a lot more shallow of a curve than the front is. The front, we're going to actually use the French curve to create that line. And there's some pivotal points that we have to go off of, but this back one is important. So we want to make sure that when we take that back neck, we're measuring from the back over. Sorry, I'm going to do it on this side. I just wanted to kind of show you guys on your end. Over to and I'm gonna do it on top so it's easier for me, to the center back. So I'm looking at, oh, just shy of 3. So I'm gonna go 2 7/8. It's just shy of 3, 2 7/8. Okay, now they're gonna have us do a shoulder slope on the back. So that one is still numbered as number 7, but you just wanna make sure that you're looking for, again, I'll pull this up for you. On the back, they have images that are different. So it is number 7 still, but it's a different image for the back. So it might be a little easier for you to see that. So my number 7 is labeled as the center line at the waist to the shoulder tip at pinhead. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go center line at waist to shoulder tip, and sorry, my form's a little wobbly, at the pin mark. So I'm looking at spot on 16 and a half. 16 and a half. Okay, now they want me to do the shoulder length, and I believe this is the same as number 13, so it should be the same as the front, and it is. So again, it's just kind of defined as the shoulder tip to the neck. So shoulder tip to the neck. And I know we took this already, but take it again, shoulder tip to neck. It's kind of a redundant measurement, but definitely you want to have it everywhere so that when you're drafting, it's easier for you to see the measurement. So we're looking at 5 spot on, and you can double check that from your front one to make sure that's what you got. Okay, dart placement number 20. This one is also kind of labeled with the same number, so it's defined the same. This is going to be the center back waist to the side, to this princess seam, to the side princess line. So again, dart placements are based off of these princess lines here, and again, easy because it's on a form, it's actually sewn in. So we're gonna go center back to side princess line, and again, this one's pretty spot on of 3, so that's gonna be 3. Again, these girls are made really symmetrical, so it's easier for you to get a really perfect ratio. Done with that page, we're gonna move on to the last page. And if we look at the last page, there are only a couple of measurements on here. The next video you're gonna see is I'm gonna actually go ahead and draft a sloper, just the bodice front and a bodice back for you, so that you can see how we utilize these measurements to actually draft those sloper sets. You're gonna be doing this again at the end of the semester. It's your final project, but you're gonna do a full sloper set. So you're gonna do a bodice front, bodice back, skirt front, skirt back, and a sleeve. So if you remember from the first week, I showed you that full set that I had, punch hole, you hang it up in your closet. You're gonna do that off of a dress form. So this is getting you there. Okay, so I need my side length, and again, it's number 11, so labeled the same. My side length is labeled here as a pin mark below the armpit. So I have my little pin mark. Kind of swivel that for you. I have my pin mark. At the side seam to the side waist. So they're just saying that they want you to take from that pin mark that I placed there at 1/2 inch because I'm doing a size 8 form to the waist. And this is pretty much spot on at 8. So 8 inches for my side. Okay. Then there's only one more, and that's the across the back, and this one is number 16. So I'm gonna swivel again. If I go to number 16, it's labeled as the center back to the mid armhole level at the ridge of the pinhead. So again, my center back to the mid armhole, so middle of the armhole, and you're gonna use that pinhead. So again, I'm not gonna go take my tape all the way, so I'm just gonna kind of do it kind of faulty. I'm not gonna take it all the way to the pinhead, but I'm just trying to find that measurement there. Not necessarily the shoulder, not necessarily the waist or the bust area, but the back. So I'm gonna find that middle area, which I'll probably start here so it's easier for me. Making sure I'm perpendicular to the center front line. And I'm looking at, I'm gonna go with 6 5/8. 6 5/8. Okay, so that's it. Those are all the measurements that you need to draft the sloper bodice front and the bodice back. What I'll do now is I will take these measurements and I'm gonna go ahead and draft on paper a full-size sloper set for you. We will eventually get to the skirt back and then the skirt front, and then we'll also talk about the sleeve. The sleeve itself doesn't need a whole lot of measurements. Really the bicep is important, the wrist is important, but other than that, it's really all about that length. So we'll talk about those as we get towards the end of the semester, but hopefully this helps you to identify really important areas like the center front, the center back, your bust points, your waistlines,